Supermax Corp saw its first quarter FY22 net profit slip 19.1% to 638.52 million ringgit amid falling average selling prices. The glove maker said in a filing with the Bourse that competition has intensified significantly following a period of substantial capacity expansion across the industry as both existing and new players ramped up their production capacities. Quarterly revenue, however, rose 7.6% to 1.45 billion ringgit on the back of continued strong global demand for its medical gloves and other personal protective equipment. It also recorded increased sales from the additional capacity generated by its newest plant, which was commissioned during the year. It declared an interim single-tier dividend of 5 cents per share. On prospects, Supermax said demand for gloves remains strong as new waves of COVID-19 cases continue to hit countries around the world and continue to flare up as more countries begin opening up their economic sectors and easing their standard operating procedures. The group expects demand to remain buoyant beyond 2021. Supermax shares settled 4% higher at 1 ringgit 82 today for a market value of 4.76 billion ringgit. Hong Leong Investment Bank or HLIB Research expects Press Metal Aluminium Holdings to book record high earnings when it reports its third quarter FY21 results come end November. In a note today, HLIB's Jeremy Yap said Press Metal's third quarter net profit should come in at between 275 million ringgit and 300 million ringgit. That would be 8 to 17% higher quarter on quarter and 125 to 146% higher year on year. This would bring 9-month FY21's sum to between 736 million ringgit and 761 million ringgit, which is more than double the core net profit of 315 million ringgit it recorded in 9-month FY20. He said a further quarter-on-quarter spike in fourth quarter FY21 earnings is expected due to the full commissioning of Press Metal's Phase 3 Summer Laju expansion project, soaring LME aluminium spot prices, and the earnings boost from Phase 1 of its alumina refinery business in Bintan. The company's core PATMI is seen growing by 130% to 1.1 billion ringgit for FY21 and 116% to 2.4 billion ringgit for FY22. Yap said this would represent a CAGR of 123%. He kept his buy rating on the counter with an unchanged target price of 7 ringgit 42 against Press Metal's last close of 5 ringgit 44. Its results are tentatively scheduled for release next Friday. ATEM saw over 1 billion ringgit in market capitalization wiped off this week as its share price fell below 2 ringgit after the company swung into the red in the second quarter of FY22. The electronic products contract manufacturer reported last Friday a net loss of 11.17 million ringgit, its first quarterly loss since the first quarter of FY18. ATEM's share price closed 15.6% lower today at 1 ringgit 57 after falling as much as 17.7% to 1 ringgit 53 for a market capitalization of about 1.84 billion ringgit. That's down from around 3.1 billion ringgit on Friday when the counter's price closed at 2 ringgit 57. CGS-CIMB Securities remains concerned about the company's profitability for FY22 amid a lack of clarity on the timeline for foreign worker replenishment. Analysts Nagulan Ravi and Shazwan Aiman Sobri, who retained their hold call on ATEM's shares, said in a note today the firm could continue to face a shift in sales orders away from the company should labour shortage issues persist in FY23. They reduced their FY22 earnings per share by 41% and FY23 to 24 earnings per share by 7 to 24% and cut the target price to 1 ringgit 93 from 2 ringgit 48 previously. The Drug Control Authority or DCA DCA has given conditional approval for the use of Sinovac and AstraZeneca Covid-19 vaccines as a homologous booster shot for individuals aged 18 and above. This means these individuals will be injected with vaccines from the same brands as their previous doses. Health Director General Tan Sri Dr. Nur Hisham Abdullah said the booster dose for AstraZeneca's vaccine is administered 6 months after the second dose. The booster dose for Sinovac's CoronaVac vaccine is administered 3 to 6 months after the second shot. He said the administration of booster doses of these two vaccines to specific target groups will be detailed by the COVID-19 Immunization Task Force and will be announced from time to time. Nur Hisham added that the DCA has also granted conditional registration approval of the AstraZeneca vaccine for a third manufacturer, South Korea's SK Bioscience Co. As of yesterday, over 22.3 million individuals, or 95.4% of Malaysia's adult population, were fully vaccinated. They were among the 22.88 million people, or 97.7% of adults, who had received at least one dose of the vaccine. Former Prime Minister Datuk Sri Najib Razak is said to have questioned the suspension of Terengganu Investment Authority's 5 billion ringgit bond issuance, despite the fact that it was an order from the state's ruler. Former 1MDB Director Tan Sri Ismi Ismail was testifying at the 1MDB Tenor trial today. He told the court that Sultan Mizan Zainal Abidin, who was also the then king, had opposed the fundraising and summoned him and former 1MDB CEO Datuk Shahrul Azra Ibrahim Halmi. Both were directors of the 1MDB predecessor. During this meeting, Ismi said Sultan Mizan told him and Shahrul to sign a director's resolution to suspend the issuance, which they did. After the meeting, however, he said Shahrul told him they could not actually suspend the issuance as instructions were already given to lead arranger Ambank. Upon discovering what the two men had done, Ismi said Najib asked why they had done so. He added that from Najib's reaction, it seemed that the then finance minister had wanted the issuance to continue. Ismi testified that he then decided to let Sultan Mizan and Najib sort it out themselves.